Compass Promotions. I hope everybody is doing well. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. Today, amongst other things, I want to take a few moments to talk about and discuss the letter that was sent out by the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Indiana regarding some weather events that have been happening there. I also want to remind everybody once again about our August 21st 24-hour stream, 24-hour celebration of the Masonic Medical Research Institute, amongst many other things, which should be a blast. I can't wait to do that as well. Also, today is the 20th anniversary, if I recall correctly, of the UN Declaration regarding disability rights. I've talked a lot on this channel about the ways that we within Freemasonry can be supportive of our brothers with disabilities. I thought it'd be worth talking about that as well. We have some hearts that might be Smokey the Clown in the house. Smokey, how's it going? Thank you for being here, if that is you. If not, whomever it is, thank you for the hearts. Please take a moment. As always, hit like, hit subscribe. There you go. How's it going? And everybody watching this, don't forget to subscribe to Smokey's channel. I sent you a message on Discord. I don't know if we're going to get together on the 21st around 9 p.m. Eastern. But maybe we can do it then, and you can be part of the 24-hour stream celebration, which will be a lot of fun. Either on this channel or my personal channel. I haven't decided which one yet. One or the other. Or I could one day go into your stream as well if you send me a link. I don't know if you want to try it on yours at some point. It'd be fun to kind of be in your house as opposed to you always coming to mine. What are you finding in terms of number of people you have joining you, out of curiosity? Hello, Ferris. Hello, how's it going? Thank you for being here. Please take a moment. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. Good to see you as well, Ferris. Whatever you want, brother. Nice. I mean, 20 consecutive, that's really good. I get that regularly as well. So good on you. And getting hundreds, nothing's wrong with that as well. So keep up the good work. And you're already watching this, take a moment. Don't forget to follow Smokey the Clown and subscribe to his channel. I will let you decide. Do you want to come onto one of my channels, or can I come on to one of yours? You let me know through Discord. Either will work. So yeah, let me know what you prefer. Hello, Dad. How's it going? I love you. It's good to see you. Another thing I'm going to talk about on Friday is update everyone on my kidney donation journey. I'll let you guys know where I'm at with that on Friday as well during the 24-hour stream. Smokey the Cat. Well, Stephanie, we got Smokey the Bandit, we got Smokey the Clown, Smokey the Bandit, and then we got Smokey the Cat. So I mean, Ferris is fake. I don't know. Ferris has been on here in the past, I think, never caused any issues. I don't care whether you're real or fake. What I care about is, do you follow the rules of the chat? Do you follow the rules of YouTube? Teo Godspeed, hello. What's going on? Why are you throwing up in the chat? Matt Steiner, I'm sure you're real. I'm not a hippo, I promise. At least I don't think I'm a hippo. The Vikings, they're tough as nails. Are you kidding? I don't want to take on any Vikings, that's for sure. Once again, everybody set your calendars for August 21st, starting at 2 p.m. Eastern, 24-hour content marathon, celebrating, amongst other things, the what will be a beautiful and incredible and very fun um, uh, like I said, Masonic Research Institute 24-hour stream. No, Mr. Inappropriate. Being a Freemason does not get you out of traffic tickets and stuff. I'm very sorry to disappoint. Despite the fact that I'm sure many people wish it would, it does not. And nor should you join for that reason. If you're joining because you want to get out of a traffic ticket, you're going to be very disappointed. And if anybody were, for example, to tell me that they were joining Freemasonry to get out of traffic tickets, I would be very concerned about that. No, that's not how it works, nor is it how it should work. If anything, there's the risk that you'll absolutely go, they'll go even in some ways tougher on you because they might be disappointed. It's sometimes a double-edged sword. The most important thing, though, is they treat everybody the same and everybody fairly. There you go. As Dad says, he wishes it did. I don't know what a mini Mason is. Come on. No, Freemasonry would be a terrible cover to operate an underground criminal enterprise because, as we've discussed before, Freemasonry, you are instructed to follow the rules of the country in which you live or work. Organizing an underground criminal enterprise would mean you could not do any of those things. So no, it would be a terrible cover. Smokey, much love to you as well. Eat, take your meds, and sleep. Do what your doctors tell you. As we're always saying, that's the most important thing. Yeah, but your other Masonic brothers would see you and call the police. You're not going to be able to get everybody on your side. And, people have tried to use Masonic symbols and Masonic symbolism to create criminal enterprises. It never works. They always end up in jail, as they should. With a tattoo that said, "Love is timeless with an infinite myriad." I mean, maybe love is timeless. Who knows? It could be. Obviously, the question is, define love and define eternity and all the rest of it. You got to define your terms. But as a general rule, I can appreciate it. Day is going well, Brick Flair. How are you doing? Hello, Alex Kane. Thank you for being here. I mean, I've always viewed time as a coordinate more so than anything else, right? It's simply you have your time, you have your place. They're both coordinates. The real question I got to ask people is, what type of snacks should I get for my 24-hour content marathon? I would view it, I've always thought Sour Patch Keys are really good. But you also need protein, so jerky works well for long streams, in my experience. As always, the first hour, we're just going to hang out, chat about whatever, no specific content. Then the second hour, I wanted to read a letter from the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Indiana. Remind everybody about my 24-hour stream. A few other things as well, so that's coming up. Liver and onion, I've grown to like liver more and more as I've gotten older. When I was younger, I was not a big fan of liver or onions, but lately I've grown to be a bigger fan of them. So who knows why that is the case, but I like liver and onions at this point. What's a square black bean? No, Mr. Chedette, the earth is not flat. Very sorry to disappoint you. Some Masons might make IPAs. I know some Masons who brew their own beer. A good friend of mine, actually, Dewan, he brews his own beer, and he's a Freemason. The Earth is a sphere, Robert Stewart. Now we got the flat earthers taking over the stream. So very sorry to disappoint everybody, but the Earth is, in fact, a sphere. It is not a cube. Now, in Freemasonry, we have our cubes, obviously. You know, people will point out black balls, which are very often black cubes, but that's a whole different story. Oh, Acturian Prince is now asking the question, is the Earth real or not? Minecraft taught me the Earth is a cube. I've never played Minecraft, so I cannot help you with that. You're on your own. How do I know for sure it's a globe? Because I live next to a river and I see boats passing me on the river all the time. And when the boats go over the horizon, they don't go over the horizon all at once. The bottom disappears first, then the top, which means it's going over the horizon. If it was flat, it would just get smaller and smaller and then disappear. Oh, well, then do what your doctor tells you, Dad. Always do what your doctor tells you. Luckily, though, my doctor has never told me to stay away from liver. So for now, I'm going to keep on enjoying it. But that's just me and my humble opinion. We are surrounded by water. Again, if you ask, if you ask flat earthers, they'll tell you that. But I do not believe that is the case. Yes, get booster after booster. I do get boosters for COVID, if that's what you're saying. Robert Stewart, so what are Freemasons? I think you're asking what are Freemasons. Freemasons are members of a club or a group that has existed for over 300 years. And something for which I'm grateful to be a member of. I was born attracted to, well, it depends what those things are. I definitely think you have a choice in, attraction. For example, I think everybody, to a certain extent, is attracted to, being rebellious, being bad. You see something you like in the store, you can't afford it. There's going to be a part of you that wants to steal it. There's that attractive element to being kind of transgressive, but you have to make better choices and smarter choices in your life and recognize that doing so will hurt other people. That is my philosophy on that. That is true. I do try to get as much iron as I can. Part of it to be, for the donation process. So, for example, I regularly eat tinned oysters and tinned mussels because supposedly they're full of iron and therefore are good for you. Hey, I learned more about the Buddhist faith over the weekend when I visited the Hindu temple. Even though Hinduism is not Buddhism, the person I was talking to told me a little bit about the differences between the Hindu faith and the Buddhist faith. So I enjoyed learning more about that. Are you Gnostic? Gnosticism is more of a philosophy. It's not really a religion or a set of beliefs, right? It comes from the Greek word for wisdom. I don't know. I don't know enough about Gnosticism to say for sure. The general premise or idea of Gnosticism, which seems to be that it is possible to achieve wisdom through observation. Let me double check if I'm getting that correct. I would agree with. So no, I'm not Gnostic. Because I don't believe in hidden wisdom. I think all wisdom is available and can be found and seen by all of us. Well, I guess Gnosticism means knowledge. Let me double check. Yeah, the word Gnostic comes from the Greek word gnostikos, meaning having knowledge. Generally describes things related to deep, intuitive, or spiritual knowledge rather than standard religious faith. I just don't believe in hell or eternal damnation, which you don't have to. I mean, I'll be back in a second. Had to run and turn something on. I mean, I don't believe in hell or eternal damnation. The idea of hell or eternal damnation, there are some Masons who believe in hell and believe in eternal damnation. Freemasonry itself is not a religion. It makes no promises of salvation nor threats of damnation. But what I would say is it's up to every Mason to decide for himself what he believes about the next life and what is available in the next life, right? So, yeah. I do not know what left-hand path means. Whether he had gnosis or revelation, I don't know enough about the Mormon faith to say. You can be a Mormon and a Freemason, obviously. Joseph Smith was a Freemason, famously. But I don't know specifics about the Mormon faith to be able to say. But, I mean, I've known a couple Mormons, I think. Seem like very friendly, good people. Semi-trolling is okay, just don't fully troll. Left hand, I don't know what this whole left hand versus right hand path is. I think in a Masonic context, what we would say the most important thing and the value is finding a due medium between, say, things like avarice and profusion, between intemperance and pleasure. We want to find a happy medium between the two. Not to go too far to the left hand or to the right, but to stick in the middle or to stick in moderation is usually, generally, a good and appropriate thing. Spirit over matter or vice versa. I mean, I think you need both. Even me, who's not really spiritual and not religious per se, I believe that there is a trying to think of the right term. There is a universal human value that exists within all people, and that value could be considered a soul or could be considered one's spirit, for example. We do not collect the sorrow of anyone. Very sorry to disappoint, too evil to hope. I mean, I guess you could argue. Once again, as I always say, right? My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through science and as expressed through geometry. Essence is more valuable than either. You could say that. I think that's fair, right? What is our essence? What is the essence of the world around us? I think that's very fair. We have no unholy engines of misery, too evil to hope. Very sorry to disappoint you. If anything, Freemasonry helps make the world a better place. Again, and as always, through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. We're just going to keep hanging out, wait to see who joins. As always, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You guys can also let me know what you think of the current changes to YouTube if you want. There's been a couple major changes, including a major change as to how to become a member or part of the partner program, doubling the number of watch hours needed from 4,000 to 8,000. But also, they've just changed the way they count views. It used to be that you needed to watch YouTube for a set period of time before they would count it as a view. So if I watch a video for like 1 second and then switch to another video, it doesn't count as a view. Now they're having two metrics, views and engaged views. And the views will be counted from the very first frame. I think it's actually valuable. I think it's valuable to know what percentage of people are tuning in for like a second and switching away versus how many people are remaining engaged. Um, so too evil to hope. All legitimate geometry was not invented by the Scientologists. Geometry dates back to Euclid, and even before that, but famously Euclid, the father of geometry, right? So no, you are incorrect. In fact, there's currently a very cool and very awesome space probe called the Euclid, which is studying and mapping out the universe at the moment. So sorry to disappoint you, too evil to hope. As always, if you're watching this, please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe, and do not forget our 24-hour content marathon starting August 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern. Honestly, there is no end goal to Freemasonry other than it's worth spending time with other people, or the desire to spend time with other people. But I do hope humanity colonizes the moon. I'd love to be alive long enough to see there be a base on the moon. I think it would be really, really cool and really interesting, because if humanity returns to the moon, then perhaps Tranquility Lodge 2000 will finally be able to have a meeting officially on the moon. And who knows, maybe I'll get to meet people on the moon. I mean, I am, I'm 42 now, so 30 years from now, I'll be 72. I should still be alive, maybe. And then maybe I'll get to actually attend a Masonic Lodge meeting on the moon, which would be incredible. That's a good answer, Stephanie Lockhart. And I would love to visit a lodge in Cuba. Curtains Rail, please hit like and subscribe. It depends on where you live, Curtains Rail. Here in Ontario, you need to be at least 21 years of age. In Michigan, you need to be at least 18 years of age. So it depends on where you live. But yeah, Ontario 21, Michigan 18. Currents, this is your first time on the stream, right? Skirt Sir Keith, hello, how's it going? Thank you for being here. As always, please take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. Now, some people join Freemasonry because they want to make themselves better. Some people want to make the world better. Some people are just looking for friends, all of which is perfectly valid reasons to join. Fitness, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Fitness Biriam, please like and subscribe. What are the benefits of being one? There are no singular benefits. Every Mason will receive different benefits depending on why he joined. For me, one of the benefits is it makes me feel closer to my grandfather, who passed before I was born, but was a Freemason. Some make friends, some develop skills and learn about things like memorization, meeting management, meeting administration. Some get the chance to engage in charitable activities. Some just like the feeling of being part of a group that has historical roots. I mean, some just like spending time with other people. What are the benefits of going out with your friends on a Friday night? All of these things, kind of the relevant questions. And so the benefits are going to be different depending on each person. You also get a social safety net. You get the health benefits of socialization. You can help find, a feeling of fulfillment and worth through advancement in degrees, things of that nature. So all of that stuff is really important, but every Mason gets different benefits. But at its core, right? The benefit of being a Freemason is you get to spend time with other people, which is something that all Freemasons, that all human beings need. Um, so, Curtains Rail, there are no books you need to read before joining the lodge. In my opinion, the best book to read for non-Masons who want to learn more about Freemasonry is Freemasonry for Dummies, which is a really great book by Chris Hodap. That's a good place to start, in my opinion. Um, Opinion on CERN. I love science, I love technology, and CERN combines both. Um, what do you say to people who are convinced? I mean, DGAF, if they're convinced, right? There's really nothing I can do. I can just tell them the truth, which is we're not, and act in such a manner that I do not reflect what they consider the Illuminati to be in my day to day life. And if doing so can convince them, then great. If they will not be convinced, then so be it. Um, D, the hierarchy, that's a book to read. DGAF, I'm secondhand annoyed by people who think it means Illuminati. I get it. That you kind of have to get used to it, but it's easy to get annoyed by people who are so wrong. Um, right? I get the idea of being annoyed by people who think it means Illuminati, but it's one of those things where you just kind of have to accept that if you're going to go on YouTube, you're going to deal with very foolish and dumb people, and you kind of have to accept that that's the price you pay for playing baseball, if you will. It talks in detail about the degrees. I mean, I do think it's possible to learn too much, for the record, Stephanie. Like, you got to be really careful about that, because one of the really beautiful and really fun things about Freemasonry is experiencing it as you go, not without expectation, right? I think one of the dangers we have very often is they'll know so much about Freemasonry before they join. They don't really experience the degrees. They're just expecting things, kind of like getting a spoiler for a movie. Mr. Dane, hello. Yes, I know I got an oddly shaped noggin. Please hit like and subscribe. Stephen Campbell. Well, Stephen Campbell, your friend is lying to you. I'm nearly positive. And if he's not lying to you, then he's not part of any Masonic Lodge I'm a part of. Um, because that is not something Freemasons should be doing or could be doing or would be doing. Um, so let's just keep that in mind. Hello, Mr. Dane Mapping. Benjamin Franklin was a Freemason, Professor Terp. Also, he was good friends with Voltaire, the philosopher, and actually encouraged Voltaire to join. So that's kind of a really cool thing as well. Professor Terps, please hit like and please hit subscribe. And any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. Mission appropriate. Who says there is a hand signal? Maybe there's not. But if you want to find out if there are hand signals or modes of recognition, you you join a lodge and you find out that way. What about instead of the Freemasons, it was the buff gay mans? Well, Joe, that would be a very different group with a very different purpose behind it. Well, Gooey, that's a stupid decision and that's a stupid choice. For the record, you can do whatever you want, I guess, and trust or not trust whomever you want. But that's a very dumb idea. So I I've known many Asians, they're perfectly trustworthy. You learn to judge the person, not the race, not the religion, not the ethnicity, not the creed, not the language, etc., etc., etc. Um, no, it's not. I mean, Gui will get himself timed out. Um, if he doesn't come down with this nonsense. No, he does not, Sir Keith. And by the way, please, once again, take a moment to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. Do you guys do anything on Christmas? It depends on the lodge, DGAF. So there are many lodges that hold Christmas parties, special events, celebrations. You see that very, very often. It's unfortunately that as Freemasonry has fewer and fewer members, we have less special events, whether it be for Christmas, for Hanukkah, or anything in between. That kind of just is what it is. But yeah, I've known many Masonic lodges, and I'm grateful for them, that hold Christmas events, Christmas celebrations, Thanksgiving events, Halloween events. It's a great way to bring in, membership into your lodge, or at least to create more relevance in your communities, because you're holding a special event. Suddenly people are looking forward to it. They want to see more events. Suddenly the lodge is relevant to them. In fact, a couple of years ago, one of my favorite stories is visiting a Masonic lodge in Chicago that was having a Thanksgiving event, and I made the green bean casserole and I made the deviled eggs, which was quite fun. Jamie, I don't know what that means. My apartment, my condo points east, which is a nice Masonic direction. DGAF, that sucks. Unfortunately, it does happen. As our numbers are dropping, what you are seeing is fewer and fewer lodges, especially in small towns. So I'm sorry to hear that, but maybe it'll come back. Who knows? We're working our butt off to grow these Masonic lodges as much as we can, right? So we'll see. Worshipful Master does sit in the east. Stephanie, I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm not sure what you mean by the higher orders are way more balanced. I mean, first of all, you don't want to think about things in terms of higher orders or anything like that, right? The highest order in Freemasonry is the 3rd degree, Master Mason degree. That's the highest order. Beyond that, there are different appendant bodies. I don't know if I'd say they're balanced or not. I mean, I don't know what you mean by the term balanced. I would say the better way to think about it is what is foundational versus not. Freemasonry is, the foundational degrees are the first 3 degrees, right? Entered Apprentice, Fellow Craft, and Master Mason. Those are ultimately the foundational degrees within Freemasonry. I have considered joining the Women's Grand Lodge of California. I like women Freemasonry. I think that's awesome. In California, which is also awesome, I believe Eastern Star is probably more prevalent than the Order of Women Freemasons. Having said that, DGAF, I think that's awesome. And I'm glad that you've considered joining, right? I've said it before. My goal in this channel is not to, encourage or influence anyone to join or not join. It's just to talk about why I love Freemasonry and let people make their own decisions from there. Um, I'm currently one sub away from 4,580 subs. We're slowly getting to 5,000, so let's see if we can make it. Um, like more spiritual, more kind. I mean, certainly there can be chaos in any of the degrees, especially if you're trying to organize a degree. That can be very challenging. But I think, a lot of it is just personal preference and what speaks to people's hearts, right? And what speaks to people's ideas and their mind about things. So some people really love, their Scottish Rite and their York Rite degrees. Some people really love Craft Lodge. Some people really love the Shrine. You kind of find where you fit into Freemasonry. That's the beautiful thing about it. Well, I don't know why your Templar friends would be making fun of you. No Freemasons should be making fun of anybody, but that's a separate point. If you're a Freemason out there, don't be making fun of Stephanie Lockhart. Although when you say Templar friends, I don't know if you're referring to the York Rite body or a separate group. Um, so the Knights Templar is usually part of the York Rite degrees. It's the final chapter in York Rite. Um, it, like everything else, is active in Freemasonry, though it's declining in North America. Just the numbers are dropping kind of across the board, unfortunately. Hello, Cheeseburger. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, let me know. It should be. I was very proud of it because I don't really cook much, but I got there early. I offered to help out. They said, "Can you make the green bean casserole?" And I said, "Sure, give me the recipe." And I made it, and I was quite impressed with it, to be honest. I made the green bean casseroles, and I made the deviled eggs. So, um, I made both, and I was very good. I think I heard about that Toronto was called um, Yorktown. I think I've heard that before. So yeah, I mean, I've written about Toronto here and there in my travels through Toronto. It's pretty crazy how often I found myself in Toronto. Um, oh, well, it was a Thanksgiving dinner, so it was turkey that they carved up. Um, then they had green bean casserole, deviled eggs, mashed potatoes, mashed sweet potatoes. It was like a Thanksgiving potluck. Vegetables, desserts, things like that. It was really fun. Timothy, what was your comment? Oh, well, hit the like and subscribe button. How's about that? Hello, Jamie. Jamie, I hope you marked on your calendar. August 21st, we're going to be doing a 24-hour content marathon. Amongst other things, we are going to be talking about and celebrating the Masonic Medical Research Institute, which is going to be a blast. I can't wait. 50% of any funds raised during that time will go to the Masonic Medical Research Institute, the MMRI, during that 24-hour period. It's going to start August 21st at 2 p.m. We'll be taking breaks off and on, but we're going to go basically through till August 22nd at 2 p.m. Eastern, which I always enjoy doing. Do I like tri-tip? Sure. I like food of all sorts. Nice. Springfield in Illinois, if I recall correctly. Traveling is an incredible thing to do within Freemasonry. It's something I love doing and I'm grateful to do. So, very cool. Which state? Because Springfield's in a few different states, as the Simpsons have told us. I believe it, David Thompson. I think animals, plants are far more aware of the people around them than we are. What is something so I love squid, DGAF. For me, it is. Oh, Jamie, hold on just one second. For me, it is uh, whipped cream. I hate whipped cream. I think it's gross and disgusting. I hate when people put it on pies. A friend of mine, hold on just one sec, Jamie. Let me pull something up quickly. A friend of mine has, actually, a Masonic brother of mine has a cousin. He is, the cousin is considering joining, sorry, joining Freemasonry. And if I recall correctly, the cousin is going to be in Kentucky. Let me double check. Um, dun, dun, dun. Ashland. Are you around, Jamie, Ashland, Kentucky? Um, I love octopus, but I've heard people say that they won't eat octopus because they're so smart. I love all things seafood. I love fish, octopus, squid, shrimp, oysters, whatever it might be. They are genuinely my favorite things in the world. But I've heard people say they're too smart. So, Jamie, are you around Ashland at all? I mean, make me the pie because I love pies. I love pie, but I hate whipped cream. So what I always have to do is when I'm at a restaurant and I order like a slice of pie, I always make it clear, please do not put whipped cream on it if you normally do because it's gross. So, Professor, there are usually not monthly dues. Usually it's every year um, that you have to pay your dues, right? I'm a member of 5 Masonic lodges. My cheapest Masonic lodge dues are 25 American dollars per year. The most expensive is around 175 per year. And what I always say is there's not a particular financial level. In theory, you can have $0 in the bank and be homeless and be a Freemason. But practically speaking, I wouldn't be comfortable letting somebody join Freemasonry if they were struggling financially or significantly struggling financially because I would want them to first get themselves in a state where they're comfortable financially and have housing, things like that before they look at joining Freemasonry because they shouldn't be dealing with financial struggles and financial challenges if they're also dealing with, let's say, joining a Masonic lodge. That's one of the reasons why I've always suggested it might be worth us getting you know credit ratings checks on members so we can tell people like, look, there are dues, there is expenses related to this. Maybe you're not in a position right now when you can afford them. um, that's no worries, Jamie, but thank you for letting me know nonetheless. I appreciate it and I hope you had a great time in Springfield. um, yeah, I know some other people in Kentucky. I don't remember, like, I don't know, they're primarily in Louisville, Paducah. I don't know if any of those places are close to Ashland, but I'm going to be asking some people and calling some people, so see if I can connect my friend's cousin with some connections. Um, Robert, I never heard that before. Is that true? Din, don't be doing that. I've been to New York City DGAF twice. Most recently, I was flying back from South Africa, and I landed in JFK, and I had to travel from JFK to LaGuardia all night, which was very, very interesting. So I basically took like a bus and a transit system across the city, and it was really fun. And I grew much more fond of New York than perhaps I would have otherwise been, because it was like a weird adventure to be traveling from one airport to the other at like 3 in the morning. But I enjoyed it quite a bit. So There are lodges in every country in the state. I never heard that before, but I been to Masonic Lodge in New York once. There was no meeting going on, so it was in Manhattan. I basically just saw the Grand Lodge in New York. But New York State is home to the Masonic Medical Research Institute, and I'm very excited to be celebrating that on August 21st at 2 p.m. Um, it's going to be a blast. I can't wait. There are. I mean, you should try to travel as much as you can. I'm always suggesting, right? Visitation, travel, traveling. That's really important. And you can travel and be in a different Masonic lodge, in so many different states, in so many different countries, all around the world. Hello, Shu, once again. Welcome back. So, Stephanie, that's a really interesting point that you bring up. I forget about Saudi Arabia, so I can't speak to that. But there is, in fact, Masonic lodges in many Middle Eastern countries. They're located on on military bases. So, for example, in Qatar and in Dubai or in UAE, there are, in fact, Masonic lodges located on the military bases. They're primarily Prince Hall lodges, but I think that's a really cool thing that people don't realize. In the same way, historically, very often Masonic lodges traveled to different countries through military bases, like, for example, in India, right? The very first in India, the very first Masonic lodge was on a military base in Calcutta, in India. You still see that in the Middle East in 2026. I had a layover in Dubai, and I was really hoping to visit the military base and visit some brothers there, but obviously I could not do so for good reason. They were in the middle of some stuff, as they still are. So that's true. There is none in North Korea. Stephanie. So, sorry, Modern Welfare. There is no Masonic lodges in North Korea, mainland China. But even then, just because there are no official Masonic lodges, that doesn't mean there are no Freemasons, right? You may have Freemasons there as government workers, aid workers, press. Who knows why? I would say North Korea is probably the one place where there might not be any Freemasons of any sort, because I understand they have a pretty strict visitation and immigration policy, shall we say. No, there are no Masonic lodges in Iran. Not even I mean, there's no American military bases in Iran, of course, but that's kind of a separate question altogether. I don't think Kim Jong-un is one. Gooey, you should be cautious around, people. You should never be cautious around anybody based on their race or their religion or their ethnicity. That's one thing Freemasonry teaches you. You take each person as they come to you, not based on things they can't control. So I said every country. That's not actually the case. Once again, Iran, North Korea, but those are exceptions. And that doesn't even mean in Iran there are no Freemasons in Iran, right? Like, for example, there could be Masons there who are press or who are aid workers or who are with international organizations. It's very possible. So there is like what is known as regular Freemasons in China, primarily in Hong Kong and Macau. There may be Freemasons visiting China, but then on top of that, what you also see is what's called Chinese Freemasonry, which is not a recognized body, but which does exist around the world: British Columbia, Toronto, Ottawa. It's a really cool historical order and part of the Masonic family. Yes, I mean, there was Freemasons in Iran um, up to the Iranian Revolution in 1979. And once the overthrow took place, Freemasonry was outlawed and banned therein. But yeah, Freemasonry did exist in Iran. In fact, the Grand Lodge of Iran was formed in 1969, and then 10 years later, you had the banning of it. Freemasonry in Persia, before it was Iran, was actually very popular. It was a way a lot of people in government would join as a way to form connections with Freemasons in England, Freemasons in France for political purposes. So that did happen. I mean, certainly the connections between Chinese mythology and Freemasonry is fascinating. There are, and I can't think of their names now. Hold on just one sec. Let me pull it up. Sorry. Chinese legends holding square and compass. Fuxi and Nuwa. In Chinese mythology, the legendary sibling spouse deities Fuxi and Nuwa are famously depicted holding a carpenter's square and a compass. Fuxi holds the set square representing Earth, and Nuwa holds the compass representing heaven. And so you even see in Chinese mythology the square and the compass pointing things out. Or you see this value of the square and the compasses as tools. So I think that's a really important thing that we sometimes forget, is that the square and the compasses, stonemasonry, these ideas, exist across multiple cultures, multiple times, multiple mythos, which is really, really cool. Atco Hammer, welcome from Brazil. Did I meet you? Because I visited Brazil. Hello, Explode Bombshell. I've been to Brazil, Rio de Janeiro. I loved it. Rio de Janeiro is incredible. Have you, did I meet you when I was there? By the way, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and welcome. Um, I would love to visit, more of Brazil. I think it'd be incredible. Hello, Exploding once again. Hello. All right, we're going to put Shu in a timeout. Thank you, Acto Hammer. I very much appreciate you being here, and I hope you'll mark in your calendar August 21st, 2 p.m. Eastern. We're doing a 24-hour content celebration, which will include, amongst other things, a celebration of the Masonic Medical Research Institute, which I can't wait to be part of. And if you are new, please take a moment, hit like, and hit subscribe. Yeah, I'm probably going to hide Shu the next time he comes on. I'll give him one more chance to not be dumb. I've loved visiting my Latin American countries and Latin American brethren. I've visited Colombia and Brazil. Mexico, I guess, is North America, but Brazil and Colombia, and both were incredible. That would give anybody PTSD. Snakes can be I think a lot of people get scared of snakes. I don't. I love snakes. I've never been bitten by one. I love all animals. I like animals more than people, as a general rule. Underboss, hello. Thank you for being here. Underboss, if I could suggest any country to visit, the first one I would say is I thought Bogota in Colombia was really beautiful. And I think very underappreciated and very underrated. So I would recommend starting with that one personally. But I'm sure there's so many beautiful buildings you could check out. Or sorry, beautiful countries, beautiful cities. And if you're a Mason, even better, because Freemasonry in South America, it's pretty amazing what they offer and the things that they offer. So check it out. As a Freemason, the ability to travel is something that we are incredibly lucky to have. And to visit with Masons around the world is something incredibly lucky as well. Professor Terps, by the way, we are one subscriber away from 5,580 subs. So let's help a brother out. Let's see if we can get there. I would be much obliged and much appreciative. We are on our way slowly to getting there, to getting to our 5,000 sub mark. We're currently at 4,000. 4,000. Actually, we just made it 4,580. We're almost at 5,000. So let's see if we can get there. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Again, the first hour, I just hang out, talk about whatever. The second hour is when I have my specific talking points or topics about Freemasonry. So let's give it a bit more time and let's just wait to see who jumps on to say hello. In this case, amongst other things, it's going to be reading a letter from the Grand Lodge of Indiana, as well as talking about the 21st and the live stream, as well as talking a little bit about the United Nations Convention on Persons with a Disability. August 21st at Cohammer, August 21st. Septimus, Orthodoxy is not here at the moment. Craft beer and fine tobacco indeed. Let's see. I don't mind Orthodoxy. I just think he's very young. And I think because he's very young, it's just kind of the nature of it is what it is. Well, there you go. I'm sure he enjoyed his poker game for cash very much. All right, let's give it another couple minutes. Hello, Hemp Resin. Thank you for being here. To you as well. Please take a moment, hit the like button and the subscribe button. I would truly, truly appreciate it, and I would be grateful. So, if I can track this down. I put it somewhere, I thought, and now I can't find the letter I wanted to read. Give me 1 second. Gooey, you're way past date. Our current Prime Minister is Mark Carney. He is not married to Katy Perry. You're thinking of the past Prime Minister. Justin Trudeau, who also is not married to Katy Perry, but he is dating her, I believe. All right, well, Hempress Zen, I mean, one way you can learn more about it is you can talk to me about it. I started this channel to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located, as well as share stories of Masonic interest. I have YouTube, I have Medium, I have a variety of different places where I talk about Freemasonry. I don't know a ton about Freemasonry, sadly, in the Caribbean. A great book to read to start with is Freemasonry for Dummies by Chris Hodap. It's one I always recommend and always suggest as well. I'd encourage you to check it out. And yeah, I think those are your best places to start. But obviously, I'm going to recommend me first. So ask me some questions. I'll do my best to answer. And once again, Hempercent, please hit like and please hit subscribe. Let's see. If I could track it down. Here it is. So I wanted to read this. This is a letter from the Grand Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons of the state of Indiana, more particularly the most worshipful Grand Master of Freemasonry in Indiana. I've been talking a lot about what we as Freemasons can do and remember that we should be doing as we face extreme weather events and extreme weather crises across the world. Many of our Masonic brethren are being impacted negatively by forest fires, flooding, drought, extreme heat, extreme cold, flooding, etc., etc. And what we as Freemasons can do to try to help our brethren when they're being impacted by these weather events. Indiana is going through some pretty significant weather patterns and weather issues right now. And what we're seeing is, Masons needing help and assistance. And so what we see here is a letter from the Grand Master. I want to read this out. This is dated August 17th. Hello, Joseph, 2026. Brethren, hand to back that we will ever be ready to stretch forth our hands to assist and support a falling brother. These words strike to the heart of the mystic tie that unites us as Freemasons. The limits of the strength of that bond are only revealed when tested by adversity. I am proud to say that since time immemorial, that limit has never been found. Despite every adversity it has faced, may it ever be thus. Currently, our great state is suffering amidst several intense weather events. Northern Indiana has been struck by vicious storms with winds reaching 110 miles per hour, and potentially over 700,000 households were without power. It was the largest power outage in the region's history. Additionally, now central and southern Indiana are experiencing massive, unparalleled flooding. The full impact of this is yet to be revealed, but already across the entire state, our brethren have been affected. Our lodges and our brothers are facing challenges, some of great magnitude. Our mystic tie is being tested, however. However, we have always been stronger together. As Freemasons, let us turn our eyes to those in need and to our brethren's health and safety. Let us cast the light of our great craft to dispel the darkness that may beset our brethren. Hope in action is charity, and beauty in action is goodness. Let the inner flame of hope burn upon the altar of every human soul until he seeks righteousness because it is right, justice because it is just, goodness because it is good, and truth because it is true. As your Grand Master, I have full confidence in the heart of the craft and full confidence in the strength of our brotherhood. I encourage you to reach out to your elderly brothers and to your widows. They may have real need of your assistance in these difficult times. I encourage you to reach out to all of your brethren who may have need of our assistance. Each of us needs to help our neighbor, help our brother, help our community, assist in their immediate needs. Maybe clothes, food, or water. When they are hoping that help is coming, that help may be you. Even small acts of kindness, when viewed together as a whole, will reveal greatness. Let us not profess to be Freemasons. Let us live it, embody it, and raise it up before the world. As Freemasons, we seek each other's welfare and happiness equally with our own. It is not only a matter of principle, but of shared purpose and shared struggle. Perhaps, brethren, that should come naturally to us. You could say it is how we were raised. Thank you, brethren, for all that you do for our great craft fraternally. What I like about this is it reminds us, and something I've mentioned before, one of the things that we can do as Freemasons to practice charity and practice kindness, it doesn't always have to be about sending in money. It can be calling a brother who might be struggling. Maybe you know that he was in an area affected by by significant floods. Maybe it was in an area affected by heat. Are you okay? Is your air conditioner working? If it's not, do you want to stay with me until your air conditioner is fixed? You know, knowing where the local cooling centers are, where to go to the library, whatever it might be, in order to help, help people find where they need to go. All that stuff is incredibly important and matters a lot. And I think we sometimes forget about that. Yes, there are times when Masons will actually organize events, will organize celebrations, will organize whatever it might be. Not even celebrations, but they'll organize fundraisers, galas, dinners, special events, food and good services drop-offs. But that doesn't have to be always what you do. Sometimes it can be as simple as calling a brother on the phone and saying to him, hey, are you okay? I know we're going through some severe weather issues. Are you affected, and how can I help? And it might mean something as simple as, oh, you don't have air conditioning? You can stay with me for a little bit. Or, here's a list of places I know you can go that have air conditioning to cool off during the day. That's really important. And I think that matters a lot. Also, I think based on what I've been seeing, these significant issues, these significant weather emergencies, be they extreme heat, storms, flooding, or fires, are going to get worse and worse in the coming years due to climate change, which means it calls upon us even more so, as much as possible, to check on our brothers and be aware of this. And also, another piece of advice I'd give is we should be making sure that as secretaries, we keep a list of any brothers who have air conditioning, have a spare room, have a spare place. So if there comes to a time when a brother, let's say, can't remain in his home, maybe he's had to evacuate due to forest fire, due to flooding, due to extreme heat, he can call the secretary, I needed to leave my place for a time. Are there any brothers who can take me in? And the secretary knows which brothers have spare bedrooms, spare houses, spare bedrooms, maybe a guest house, whatever it might be that brother can stay. Maybe he's getting divorced. Who knows what it is? I think that's really important as well. I love Chicago under Boss. Chicago is, in my opinion, the greatest city in the world. It's not my favorite city. My favorite city, or the city I love the most, my home is Windsor. But if you ask me what I think is genuinely the best city in the world, it's Chicago. Thank you, hemp. So the next thing I wanted to read about or talk about is The Mother Lodge. The Mother Lodge is a poem by Rudyard Kipling. People don't realize this, but I have posted about it. On August 15th, it was India's National Independence Day, celebrating India becoming independent from the British Empire. Freemasonry has an amazing history in India. It's been there since, I just did a question about this, so I really should be able to answer it. It's been there since 1730. Let me double check that to make sure I got it correct. Uh, 1730. Freemasonry has been established in India, specifically in Calcutta, since 1730. Rudyard Kipling, who was a Freemason and a poet, he wrote a poem, or composed a poem, entitled The Mother Lodge, which I wanted to read. I think it demonstrates, amongst other things, the religious tolerance that Freemasonry has demonstrated throughout the world, as well as ethnic tolerances, and why that is such a beautiful thing. My dad's a Freemason. You could be Jewish and a Freemason. Q50, please hit like and subscribe. You can also be Hindu and Freemason, Sikh and Freemason, Muslim, Christian, as we're going to discover here. Professor, I have been to Chicago dozens, actually hundreds of times, including this last weekend. No fear of any, zero fear of any gangs, at least for me. Montreal is a wonderful city, so is Windsor. I agree. So here is the Mother Lodge by Rudyard Kipling to celebrate, amongst other things, India's Independence Day and the Hindu faith, with his reference in here as well, which I learned more about this weekend. The Mother Lodge by Rudyard Kipling. Verse 1. There was Rundle, station master, and Beasley of the rail, and Ackman, commissariat, and Donkin of the jail, and Blake, conductor sergeant, our master twice was he, with I'm that kept the Europe shop, old Framji Edujli. Outside, sergeant, sir, salute, salam. Inside, brother, and it doesn't do no harm. We met upon the level, and we parted on the square, and I was junior deacon in my mother lodge out there. We'd Bola Noth accountant, and Saul the Aden Jew, and Din Muhammad Droughtsman of the survey office too. There was Babu Chakrabarti and Amir Singh the Sikh, and Castro from the Fitton Sheds, the Roman Catholic. We hadn't good regalia, and our lodge was old and bare, but we knew the ancient landmarks, and we kept them to a hair. And looking on it backwards, it often strikes me thus, there ain't such things as infidels, except perhaps it's us. For monthly after labor, we'd all sit down and smoke. We durst give no banquets, lest a brother's case were broke. And man, oh man, got talkin', religion and the rest, and every man comparin' of the God he knew the best. So man on man got talkin', and not a brother stirred, till mornin' walked the parrots, and that damned brain-fevered bird. We'd say 'twas nightly curious, and we'd all ride home to bed, with Mohammed, God, and Shiva changin' pickets in our head. Full oft on government service, this roving foot hath pressed, and bore fraternal greetings to the lodges east and west. According as commanded, from Kohat to Singapore, but I wish I might see them in my mother lodge once more. I wish that I might see them, my brethren black and brown, with the tricky smellin' pleasant, and the hog darn passin' down, and the old Kanash snorin' on the bottle khana floor, like a master in good standing, with my mother lodge once more. Outside, sergeant, sir, salute, salam. Inside, brother, and it doesn't do no harm. We'd meet upon the level, we parted on the square, and I was junior deacon in my mother lodge out there. Thank you for the treats. I appreciate that very much. I made a roti for lunch. I love roti. Whoa, Q50, you're getting kind of weird about this. Whether I'm Jewish or not is irrelevant to being a Freemason, as you should have just understood based upon the poem I read by Rudyard Kipling. I think he's trolling 50Q, which is fine. I mean, he's still sending me gifts, so it's an interesting troll to take, I suppose. Yeah. Q50, you're going to find yourself timed out in a second. I don't really know what's going on, but what's with the anti-Semitism? I feel like you're assuming Freemasonry is Jewish, which it's not. I also feel like you're probably not a good person. That's getting kind of clear at the moment. We'll probably time him out in a second. If he says anything else about Jewish people, we'll time him out. I'm curious if he's going to calm down in a second. And let me know where the anti-Semitism is coming from. Because it's unfortunate, I'm seeing a lot more anti-Semitism in the chat. I mean, I do my best to not block right away. I will. I'll put people in a timeout more frequently because I want to know where this is coming from. As someone who's I'm a member of a Masonic lodge in Israel, in Tel Aviv. My roommate in college was Jewish. Um, I'd like to see why exactly you have this anti-Semitism and what's with it. It strikes me as probably a misunderstanding of both Freemasonry and Judaism, um, and also just a desire to troll. I mean, I might time him out. We'll see. But as you just saw me explain based on the Mother Lodge poem, right? One of the very first things you hear them say is, where is it? There was Rundle the station master, and Beasley of the rail, and Ackman commissariat, and Donkin of the jail, and Blake conductor sergeant, of master twice was he, with I'm that kept the Europe shop, old Framji Eduji, we'd Bola Nath accountant, and Saul the Aden Jew, and Din Mohammed draftsman of the survey office too. There was Babu Chakrabarti and Amir Singh the Sikh, and Castro from the Fitton Sheds, the Roman Catholic. You can be Jewish, Roman Catholic, Sikh, Protestant. It does not matter. You're a Freemason if you're a good person and honorable, and that's the end of it. I've known many people of the Jewish faith and Judaism. One of them, he was my best friend going through college and going through law school. Um, so you're definitely misunderstanding Judaism. Look, people who are Jewish are no different than people who are Muslim. They're no different than people who are Christian. You will find good and bad in everything. That's human nature. But Judaism as a faith, I've never seen anything that indicates anything other than it's, a good faith of people trying to do their best. No different than the Christian faith or the Muslim faith. Um, Nobody's running an underground organization. But Judaism is simply a faith. And like I said, as someone who, I'm not going to pretend like I'm super familiar with the Jewish faith. I'm not. But I'm trying to be aware of its most basic precepts and tenets. And within that context, I've been very impressed by it. I've been to a synagogue once upon a time. It's been a long time. But yeah, the Jewish faith. I've been to Catholic services, Jewish services, Muslim services, or Islamic services. Recently, a special Hindu celebration. In my experience, people are able to twist religious beliefs to whatever ends they want. You see that amongst a variety of faiths. But the core tenets of religion, and that includes Judaism, are positive. There's never any reason to hate. I mean, at least, you can hate actions more than people. The problem with hatred is I find it's very often, and as someone who's struggled with hatred in the past, it's very often does not provide a lot of benefit to you individually. It tends to just kind of drain you. Professor Terps, you get used to it, believe me. If you want to be on YouTube, one of the things you got to get used to is people talking a bunch of nonsense. Um, I don't think there is such a thing as a Jewish birthday party, unless you mean a bar mitzvah. Well, let's not hate or strongly dislike anybody. Again, at least not based on their religion or their ethnicity. That's dumb. And at no point in history has that ever resulted in a better society. Hating people based on their religious beliefs. At least not in my experience and based on my study of history. One of the reasons I love Freemasonry so much, and I'm so grateful for it, is the fact that it reminds all of us that we judge people based on who they are and how they act, not based on their religious beliefs. Again, based on the poem I just read. Bro, reply to my comment. What's your comment? That I've been promoted to boss man? Thank you, James Parker. Please hit like and subscribe. I'd be much obliged. Also, please don't forget to take a few moments, to mark on your calendars August 21st, 2 p.m., where we will be celebrating, amongst other things, the Masonic Medical Research Institute, and doing a 24-hour family. Yeah, I mean, Gooey, I agree with what you said there, but we would add not just all Jewish, but all Christians, all Muslims, all Hindu, all Sikh, etc., etc. Like, all of them deserve to be protected under a civic structure, including Freemasonry. So I think we should obviously try our best to protect everyone. Q50, I've known many Jewish people. None of them have ever compared me to a dog. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just an anti-Semitic dude. Which, I mean, I'm not going to kick you off the channel right now, but I'll say you're wrong. And, if the rule was you could only be, you had to be wrong to be a Freemason, if the rule was you had to be right to be on stream, no one would be on the stream, no one would be on YouTube, so... I mean, to my knowledge, the Torah is simply the first 5 books of the Bible, if I recall correctly. The Talmud is something different, which I'm not really familiar with. But again, I've known enough Masons. I've been enough Jewish people, my roommate in law school. At no point did he ever view me as a dog, even though I was messy, so he probably would have been right to view me as that. So I go by the way people treat me. I go by the way people talk to me. I go by the way people engage with me. That is what I go by and what I focus on. And that is something I'm grateful for. I think, obviously, that is the way we should all do it in society. And that's something that Freemasonry teaches us. To be part of that universal religion, first and foremost, right? Which is to be good men and honorable. Well, you haven't been an asshole to me, but you strike me as you probably are an a-hole. If you're anti-Semitic, you're almost certainly an a-hole. As a general rule, that's been my experience. So Judaism is both a religion and an ethnicity, right? I think the danger is, one thing I've often noted when it comes to this idea, and it very often scares me, is you will have people who will say, for example, they will have a problem with the Jewish faith, but then they'll attack people who are ethnically Jewish but have never even followed the Jewish faith, right, or Judaism. That is, I think, one of the biggest dangers as well. No, I've known people who converted to Judaism, just like I've known people who converted to the Catholic faith, and people who converted to the Muslim faith as well. Right? You can absolutely have, at various times, conversions. That's a very common thing. So yeah, I'm not really sure what you're talking about there, Q50. All right, we're going to put Q50 in a timeout over here. Also, I don't like when people do the full caps thing. I think Q50 had just made up his mind. So be it. I don't think we're going to convince him otherwise. He's just wrong. And probably not a good dude. So the other thing I wanted to talk about as well, let's see. Big, he was not right. Ugh. The problem with doing a stream about Freemasonry is you end up with a lot of anti-Semites on the stream. Drives me crazy. All right. The other thing I want to mention, and I think it's really, we should respect all people, Gooey. The other thing I want to mention, I thought it was really cool. Let's see if I can track it down now and find it. Did I repost it? Because this is something I've brought up in the past. Well, I mean, but that might just be their religious beliefs, right? I mean, for example, within the Christian faith, they believe they have a heaven, and if you don't believe, you end up in hell, right? So I don't know. Different religions have different beliefs about what happens after we die and where we go when we pass away. And I personally have my own beliefs on that, right? My point is, within Freemasonry, I don't really care what you believe. Like, if you're my neighbor, I don't care whether you're Jewish, whether you're whatever, version of Judaism you follow. I don't care if you're Muslim or Christian or Catholic or Hindu or Sikh. What I care about is, are you a good neighbor and are you going to be respectful to me? Within Freemasonry, what I care about is, are you a good Mason? Are you a good brother? That's what matters to me. Well, I blocked him for being annoying and for just talking about that, because it's not something I'm interested in. Right? Other than to say, I'm not a fan of anti-Semitism, and it sounds more like anti-Semitic than anything else. So United Nations Geneva, this is something else I want to talk about today. The Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities transformed disability from a welfare issue into a matter of justice and rights. Since 2006, it's guided efforts worldwide to ensure dignity, access, and participation for all. We within Freemasonry have a responsibility to make sure that we are ensuring dignity, access, and participation to our Masonic spaces and Masonic events for anyone who may be interested in being a Freemason, or for members of the public who, by the same token, are interested in being part of Freemasonry. Or interested in visiting our Masonic lodges for an event, a celebration, whatever it might be. Right? I think that's incredibly important as well. And so I have written on Medium, let me pull it up, some of the ways that we in Freemasonry can ensure that we are welcoming brethren of different abilities. I've also held and done YouTube live streams about the same thing. So I'm encouraging people to check that out. And if you are a member of a Masonic Lodge, take a look around your building and consider ways that you can ensure that it is welcoming for people of different abilities and different disabilities, both if they want to be a Freemason or if they want to use the building for a public event. I've done that several times, and I've always been grateful when I've been able to do it. For example, I talked during National Accessibility Week and asked the question, are our buildings accessible? Is accessibility part of the entire Masonic experience? That includes how accessible it is to get to and from the Masonic building, to enter the Masonic building, to take part in the meeting, and then to safely leave once again. These considerations need to take place even before it is necessary, because a Masonic body never knows when a brother may become injured, impaired, or when someone with a disability may approach the lodge and ask about joining. So I really enjoyed talking about that as well. And I hope that people will keep in mind One example I gave is if you have a brother who is blind, who has a guide animal, take him around the building, show him, how to get to the emergency exits and have him practice a couple times. Because let's say, heaven forbid, there's a fire, you don't want this blind brother to not know how to get to the emergency exits. He should know how many steps there are to get there, if there are any tripping hazards or removing tripping hazards. So he is as safe as anybody else in getting to the emergency exits. That's a really important thing that he needs to keep in mind and consider. Having Braille signage. Does your building have not just an accessible door to get in, like, an automatic door, but are the sidewalks free from debris, free from big gaps, free from, buckling, whatever it is, so there's no tripping hazards for people who are mobility impaired? And if there's not, can you, for example, contact your municipality, contact your city, and let them know, hey, this sidewalk is in disrepair. We have brothers who are older, who use walkers, who use canes. We need to have it in full repair as soon as we can, so no one trips and falls. Do you have accessible bus service to get to the building? Are your buildings well lit, so people who are visually impaired, not fully blind, but let's say they just are hard of hearing, are the lights bright enough that they can see what's going on and they're not risking tripping hazards? Do people know it's okay to bring service animals into the building, etc., etc.? So these are little things that we can do to create a more accessible experience. One idea I had is, whenever we have a new brother joining, one thing we give him very often is a ritual book. And usually the writing in the ritual book is small, which can impact a Mason's ability to read it. So we can give him, with the ritual book, one of these. This is a, maybe you can see it that way. This is a magnifying sheet, and you put it over writing, and it magnifies the writing for you, or the printing. So, maybe we could purchase a whole bunch of these. We could put our Masonic logo here on the bottom of our lodge and hand them out to brothers with their ritual book. It's a little thing, but they'll appreciate it. And if they do struggle with reading, now they've got one more way to do so. And a really cool addition is maybe when they get the ritual book, they're in their 20s, they can see fine. Maybe when they're 70, 80, suddenly their vision is not so great. In which case, maybe suddenly they're going to really need that item, and they'll have a fonder view of it. It's a little thing, but I think it matters a lot. So, I'm not sure what it means to open the chakras exactly. Money should be available. Well, I think there are different resources available for people born with disabilities. Like you have Ontario Disability Support Services, things like that. But I think it can't simply be from the government. It needs to be a combination of factors, right? It needs to be from the government, and it needs to be from the civic institutions as well, both of which are equally and incredibly important and matters a lot. And both of those need to be kept in mind. I can have my eyes shift white. Well, I mean, in fairness, the Undertaker used to do the same thing back in the day, so. I will do so, right? Like, it's been my decision When I travel, I'm going to make it clear I'm a Freemason. And if that gets me crossways with some people, then so be it. I don't want to hide the fact that I'm a Freemason. I think Freemasonry ultimately is good for the world, and therefore I'm going to talk about Freemasonry and how much I love it. And so far, I've traveled to places like in the Middle East where Freemasonry has a lot of negative views. No issues so far. I think very often it's the fear that's the big problem. Um, I mean, I would not want anybody to join Freemasonry because of any abilities they have. I would want people to join Freemasonry because they want to join Freemasonry for, a variety of different reasons. What does Scottish Rite mean? Scottish Rite is an independent body in Freemasonry. To become a Scottish Rite Mason, you must first be a Master Mason, get up to your third degree, and then you can look at joining Scottish Rite. It's just a separate body within Freemasonry. That's all it is. Ben, I mean, I get why people be concerned, but I've never been afraid or concerned. And it's a personal choice, right? And I think that's the most important thing. Everybody needs to make the choice for themselves what they wish to do and how they wish to proceed, which is okay, right? I would never tell anybody else who isn't a Freemason, but um, I'm happy to talk about being a Freemason. I mean, Masons really shouldn't be invited to be Freemasons. Um, I've never been one who would invite someone to be a Freemason per se, but I will invite people to come to the Masonic Lodge and check it out and tour it and learn more about it. Um, if we have an open house or a special event, I will absolutely do that. You shouldn't really be inviting people to be Freemasons, if that makes sense. Rather, I think what you should do is focus on, supporting Freemasons, talking to them. Sorry, if you have somebody who you think would be interested in being a Freemason or who you think might enjoy Freemasonry, like a friend, whatever it is, what you should do is, tell them you're a Mason, tell them what you love about being a Freemason, and invite them to the lodge for coffee or dinner or whatever it is, and you kind of go from there. Um, Ben, I mean, I'm here every day, but I wouldn't consider myself inviting people. I would consider myself talking about how much I just love Freemasonry. Kurt, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If you want to find out, join Freemasonry. I never discussed the specifics of rituals because I want people to join without spoilers. Um, what are we LARPing, Chicken Joe? Please hit like and please hit subscribe, by the way. I'd be much appreciative. I met a blind Freemason twice. Well, there you go. There are many blind. I mean, I've met a couple blind Freemasons. No, Gem High, the god of Freemasonry is not Lucifer. There is no god of Freemasonry because Freemasonry is not a religion. So there could not be any gods. Um, Curtis, what I would say is every Masonic ritual and ceremony has a purpose, has a meaning, has an idea behind it. And if you want to learn more about it, you got to join, but it has a purpose. Much of it is traditional, much of it is historical, I've been through the Masonic initiations, first, second, third degree. Masonic, I should say, Masonic degrees and ceremonies. I'm still here. I'm still doing just fine. Um, Jem, why do you think that I've been deceived? And why do I have to believe in Jesus Christ? I'm not a Christian per se. My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through science. Chicken, why should Freemasonry hold power? I don't think I've ever said that Freemasonry holds power. I mean, the power within Freemasonry is the power to try to better yourself as a neighbor, a friend, a brother, etc., etc. It does not hold any type of financial power or anything else like that. So I don't really know what you're talking about there. Well, Curtis, why is the 33rd degree important? Why is the 33rd degree more important than the third degree? Or why is the 33rd degree more important than being a Knights Templar in York Rite or being a patron in the Eastern Star or being a worshipful master or even being a, chapter dad, let's say, in D Molay? What is this weird obsession with ranking members, and why do you think 33rd is the highest degree? What power, influence, control does a 33rd degree Mason have over, let's say, the craft lodges? I'll give you the answer, by the way, none. Ned Flanders would make a great Mason, but I don't believe he is, to my knowledge. At least I've never heard any evidence that he is. Thank you, Andrea. Yes, we do try to help people, at least as best as we can. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. No, Ben, none of that is true. Again, the highest rank in Freemasonry is a third degree, which means I am the highest rank in Freemasonry, and I am not a war criminal. I can say proudly. No, 15 or 16 of the 45 presidents have been Freemasons, which is less than half for the record. And popes, no pope has been a Freemason for obvious reasons. Underboss, I have no idea what you're talking about. But again, the biggest thing to make sure we don't fall into the trap of is believing in this, believing in this idea of high-ranking, low-ranking Freemasonry, right? That's just not the way it is. So you need to keep that in mind. Which, are you talking about the two? The Pope is the Catholic Church, right? The Catholic Church still, unfortunately, and much to my shame, is not supporting Freemasonry at this moment. But I'm hoping that changes over time. At least I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Dab, thank you so much. One of many are my grandfathers. My grandfathers are both Freemasons as well. I'm grateful for that. My one grandfather on my dad's side, he passed away before I was born, so I never got to meet him, unfortunately. But he was a Freemason, and being a Mason myself, it does, amongst other things, make me feel closer to him, for which I'm grateful. They did not make Freemasonry their controlled opposition. Freemasonry is not controlled opposition for anyone, right? You need to keep that in mind. Nice try, Saul. I'm not going to fall for that. I appreciate your efforts, though. We're just going to hang out a bit longer, wait to see who joins. As always, please take a moment, hit like, hit subscribe. Honestly, what I may do, just for interest, I may actually go on and do a stream on my other channel at some point today, because I want to try to grow that channel before, before I end up dealing with the new monetization rules. Yes, I got a big gap in my teeth. Please hit like and subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. We're just going to keep waiting to see who joins. And no, Freemasonry is not Luciferianism, nor is it blanket Luciferianism. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate that. I do have a red shirt. This is my favorite style of shirt, my favorite type of shirt. And I got the collar correct. Normally, my collars are horrendously ugly, in fairness. So the fact that I got this nice, beautiful collar, I'm very proud of that. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're just going to wait to see who joins. And as always, please take a moment, hit like and hit subscribe. Goat. I'm on the goat shit. Yes, the greatest of all time. Absolutely, Stephanie. That is what I am. That is what Freemasonry is. We in Freemasonry, we are the goats. The biggest thing I had to do as well is get my place ready. Before I do a 24-hour stream, I always try to clean up my place and get it ready and get it all set. Just because I find that that's really helpful in terms of like, because I mean, obviously when you're streaming for 24 hours, your place gets kind of messy because you're having a lot of snacks and all the rest of it. So I need to clean up my place before I do it. Dab. So why do you think Freemasonry has anything to do with Baphomet? As someone who's been a Mason for 20 years, I never heard of Baphomet until I started YouTubing and people started telling me I was worshiping Baphomet, which, you know, drives me crazy. From whence is that coming? Andrea, that's very true. By the way, Andrea, I hope you guys will follow me on social media as well. I'd be much obliged. Squared Compass on YouTube, Facebook, etc., etc. Well, Luciferians might believe that. I don't know, but I would say no, not based on my understanding. What about the Shriners? The Shriners is a appendant body, or is an appendant body within Freemasonry. You need to first be a Master Mason to then be a Shriner. I believe that's still the case. They do a lot of good for the world, especially through, for example, the Shriners Children's Hospitals. We do not bow to any Satan, because again, Freemasonry is not a religion. Although I am impressed, Dab, that you actually brought up the shrine instead of the 33rd degree. Most people I know are constantly bringing up the 33rd degree, so good on you for actually bringing up something different. You're still wrong, but still good for you for bringing up something different. There we go, save. We don't see all the ways. Oh, dab. That's a statements like before it's too late. For the record, you need to be careful because that's a very common tactic used by scam artists. You create a false sense of urgency, thereby stopping people from having critical thinking skills, thereby encouraging them to make decisions they regret, like leaving Freemasonry. So, no. Um, it's this idea of before it's too late that usually tells me that I'm dealing with a scam artist. There's a reason why, for example, when scam artists are trying to get you to give them money or do something you don't want to do, they'll create, or that you're questioning, they'll create a sense of like rushing, like you need to do this in the next 2 days or else um, you'll lose the opportunity, or it's almost too late, or time's almost up. You look at the movie Boiler Room, right? One of the things you saw in Boiler Room is when they're trying to scam people into buying, shitty stocks, they're talking to the guy, and the guy says, like, you have to do this right away. I just don't have time to talk to you. And it causes him to, ignore his better thinking to, fall for a scam. Um, Graham's hierarchy of argument pyramid. Boiler Room. Boiler Room is a great movie, but I think the benefit of Boiler Room, one of the best things you learn is you learn the secrets and the ways that people will try to get people or convince people to do things they want them to do. Whether it be, renounce Freemasonry, whether it be buy, shitty stocks, whether it be convert to religion, whether it be to, who knows, there's a million different things, right? And what you very often see is you create a false sense of urgency. It's not too late. You have to do this right away. Your time is almost up. You're going to lose out on this opportunity. Those are very often tricks that people use in order to get people to do what they want. And when I hear somebody say, your time is almost up or it's not too late, I immediately tune them out because I've seen enough people. I actually was a probation officer for 5 years, and I worked in a jail for 5 years. I spent enough time dealing with people who are scam artists or who pressure people to recognize the tricks. Right now, that's not to say that Dab is inherently a scam artist. What I'm saying is that's the type of trick they will use, or the type of trick people will use on themselves. Like, maybe he has the best of intentions. Maybe he truly believes what he's saying, but I still think he's using the threat of limited time in order to get me to quote unquote renounce Freemasonry. It's a tactic he's choosing to use. Stephanie, I mean, hopefully, if a Freemason is compliant with and obeying the kind of the ethics of what it is to be a Freemason, then they should take care of their families, because that would be a Masonic ideal. Or they should not have a family until they're capable of taking care of it. It's not just West Africans, Stephanie, it's people everywhere. You are seeing people across the board, across the world, pretending to be Masons to scam for money. It's a very common scam. It's unfortunate because very often people fall for that, right? So what that means is they will, you're John Smith, you know nothing about Freemasonry. Suddenly you get an email or a message saying, congratulations, you are of good character and therefore you have been selected to be a Freemason. Just send $500. You send them $500, you hear nothing back. You don't realize it was a scam, and so suddenly you just have a negative view of Freemasons across the board. And that's a really dangerous thing. That's why it's so important that if you have been scammed, or think you've been scammed by Freemasons, you have to immediately respond by contacting the police and letting them know, and letting your local Masonic lodge know as well, so they can inform the police also. Because there's a lot of scams out there right now, unfortunately. That's true, although even with females, you can order, you can join the Order of Women Freemasons or Eastern Star, in fairness. Um, as always, please take a moment to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, let me know. I'm very much looking forward to August 21st, 2 p.m. Eastern, 24-hour stream celebrating Freemasonry and Freemasons, and specifically the Masonic Medical Research Institute. I do not know what that means, Stephanie. I do not know what it means to be very good with your left index finger. We're just going to keep hanging out, wait to see who joins. We'll give another 5-10 minutes. Then we'll be ending this stream. I'll be back on tomorrow, though. Sorry, tonight. Yeah, tomorrow at 1 a.m., which is going to be a blast. And then tomorrow as well. What's a metaphor? Well, I've never heard that before. But the index finger isn't the middle finger. They're different fingers. I don't know. Always keep listening to people and keep an open mind. That's very true. But don't keep an open mind that's so open your head falls out, right? Or your brain falls out. I think you need to keep that in mind also, right? You need to find a balance. Yes, keeping an open mind is important, but not so open you forget about, a little bit of, shall we say, prudence is a good thing as well. We're going to give it another 5-10 minutes, wait to see who joins, and they'll be ending this stream. But I will be back on tomorrow, technically August 19th at 1 a.m. Michelle, what I am is handsome. Would it make a difference? As a Freemason, what matters is I'm a good person, honest, and hardworking. That's the most important things. So who cares whether I be gay or straight? Yes, Stephanie, that's a good question. I suspect we got a troll, which is perfectly fine. Again, so much of YouTube is trolls. It's a pain in the butt, but you kind of deal with it on YouTube. I'm too busy, Stephanie, focusing on my channel right now. Whoa, what's happening here, Michelle? What's with that? Kind of mean for no reason. You can be gay or straight, you can be disabled or not disabled and be a Freemason. I suspect it's because the Freemasons are better than you, that's for sure. What's with the anger? What's happening here? Maybe if you were a Freemason, you would know better the way to treat people. being part of a compromised organization. People get trolled online for talking about their favorite candy. I can assure you it's not unique to Freemasonry. Now, the nature of the trolling is somewhat unique, right? So, for example, we get a lot of anti Semitism here. We get a lot of, we get certain types of trolling. But unfortunately, I know people who get trolled simply by talking about their favorite types of candy or their favorite movies. One of my favorite YouTubers, a guy called Cody Leach, who does movie reviews on YouTube, he, it was fascinating. He did a review that was negative towards, I think, Halloween, and people told him he should end his own life. So, it kind of is what it is. Yeah, and being a troll, it doesn't help. It doesn't make anything better. It doesn't make your life better. I mean, it maybe makes you feel good in the short term. I have no doubt it can do that, but it's not going to make you feel better or feel happier in the long term. So, I would recommend people don't be trolls. You're not going to have a better life for it or because of it. But if you're struggling in life, making fun of Freemasons can be a way to make yourself feel better, for better or worse. I would say for worse, however. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to give it a few minutes. Please, as always, take a moment, though, to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're new. We made it to 5,780 subs, so I'm grateful for that. We are getting 4,580 subs. We're getting closer and closer to the 5,000 mark. I'm hoping to get there before the end of the year. But who knows, maybe we'll have a lot of success with our upcoming 24-hour content marathon. It's going to be a blast. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be inviting people on from across different platforms. It's going to be a lot of fun. And by the way, I've also been grateful to see such an increase in the number of comments I've been getting. So thank you for that as well. Well, Dab, no one's making you be here, but, you do you. Mr. Inappropriate, let's just calm down with that stuff. Everybody just relax a little bit. Whoa, Hyper, you need to just focus on talking to me, not on other people in the chat. That's not something I like. Unless you're saying compliments to them. If you're saying negative things to them, not cool. Stephanie, I assure you, I can be unkind. It just depends on the context. I think sometimes being unkind is okay. It just depends on why you're choosing to be unkind and what the nature of the situation is. What I think right now, though, is we've done this for about a couple hours. I'm doing kind of shorter streams this week in preparation for the 24th. Or sorry, excuse me, in preparation for the 21st at 2 p.m. So I am going to take off. Well, I mean, the reason it popped in your feed, I'm sure, is because you've searched other things about Freemasonry. At least in this case, you're able to get the truth about Freemasonry. Though if you choose to not believe it, that's on you. And that's perfectly fine. All right, well, I think you and I are just not ever going to agree, Dab, which fair enough. Can't always help it. People are what they are, and will believe what they choose to believe. Who is the developer? And I can absolutely ban you. Q50 is back. He's gone once again. He made it back for 5 minutes, and now he's gone once again. So there you go. Made it a whole 30 seconds. When people tell me not to ban people, I tend to respond by banning them very quickly. So we barely made it for 30 seconds. You get used to it though, believe me. Again, if you're going to be on YouTube, you got to get used to this stuff. It kind of just is what it is, for better or worse. Well, Freemasonry cannot be compromised by definition because Freemasonry is decentralized. There is no single governing body that controls Freemasonry. Freemasonry is jurisdictional and decentralized. And as for two masters, I'm not God. I don't want to be God. I have no interest in that particular title, that particular position. Freemasonry does not attempt to replace anyone's God. Freemasonry is a civic institution, no different than sports teams, chess clubs, philosophy groups, or anything else. A individual group can be compromised, but Freemasonry is not a singular group. Freemasonry is a decentralized organization, which means, for example, a Masonic lodge in Ontario can be compromised. That doesn't affect Freemasonry in the rest of the world because they're separated under different jurisdictions, different traditions, different ritual, and different bylaws and different constitutions. If you are, for example, a government and you are the single government in a country, that government can be compromised. But if there's multiple governments, it's different, right? So Freemasons are human beings. Certainly a Freemason as a human being can be compromised. That's the nature of the world. But Freemasonry as an organization is not a singular, does not have a singular governing structure. Right? It's no different than, again, like the world. That would be like saying the world is compromised. That's not possible because the world is filled with different governance, different people, and different groups. How many members? Probably, my estimate worldwide is 5 million. There's about 850,000 in the United States. I estimate there's about 35 to 40,000 in Canada. Beyond that, I think there's like 1 million or so in England, if I recall correctly, or UK. No, it's not, Dab. You're just wrong. But again, if the rule was you're not allowed to be wrong on the internet, no one would be on the internet. Sure it is, because the world is also full of different organizations and different groups. There is no single governing structure that controls the world. Even the UN does not control the world, right? Um, though maybe you think it does, I don't know what you necessarily believe. Um, well, yeah, the Knights Templars as well. Not like saying what I actually said, not your nonsense excuse. I mean, but I'm not making it as an excuse, I'm making a factual statement. Freemasonry is decentralized. There is no single governing body that controls Freemasonry. And therefore, whatever you may think, Freemasonry cannot be compromised, at least not in the way you imagine. Um, but again, for better or worse, people get to be wrong on the internet. I don't know why. Um, but yes, people get to be wrong on the internet. Um, I mean, Dab, no, it can't. And I've been a Mason for 20 years. You've just read a bunch of stuff on the internet. We are not the same. Um, what I am going to be doing, though, is ending this stream. I will be back on 1 a.m. Thank you for me get to 4,000 580 subs. I'm much obliged. I may be doing a stream on my personal channel coming up. youtube.com/@Cameron Adamson. So be prepared for that one. But I'm going to go take care of some things. When I have a 24-hour stream coming up, a lot of what I have to do is get prepared in advance, send out emails, etc., all that jazz. So I'll be back on 1 a.m. Check out the poem, check out the statement from the Grand Master of Indiana. Let's take his advice, and if we know any brothers who are struggling under extreme weather conditions, make sure that you check on them and see how they're doing. And mark on your calendars, August 21st, 2 p.m. Eastern. 24-hour stream. It's going to be a blast. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great rest of your day. Even you, Dab, even though you're full of shit. All right, talk to you guys later.